Welcome to the Deep Dive. You've sent us a stack of just reality-altering sources this week. We're talking articles, research, all detailing these massive societal shifts.
Yeah, all happening in the wake of one single game-changing week.
Exactly. We were talking about the aftermath of the Global Simulation Festival last Monday. I mean, that wasn't just another news cycle.
No, not at all. That was the moment humanity sort of officially started to accept that the walls of our existence might actually be made of code.
So our mission today is pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
We want to give you the shortcut to being well-informed on all the ripple effects, political, technological, and, the really personal stuff. Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the catalyst, the thing that changed everything.
Absolutely. The Global Simulation Festival, which, as you know, a lot of your sources are just calling the reckoning now.
Right, the reckoning.
That was the official point of mass consensus. This wasn't some, niche philosophical conference or a new software launch. It was a coordinated global event where validated data that confirms our simulated state was released and demonstrated everywhere on every major world network at once.
So this foundational shift, it moves the whole conversation beyond just philosophy.
It has to. The question now becomes one of application. How does this undisputed understanding of existence, how does it change our daily lives?
Right, and not just that, but how we structure governments, how we create.
And maybe the most profound thing, how we even think about identity in a universe that is, for all intents and purposes, software.
The cultural response was so immediate. I mean, one article noted that the festival saw millions of people creating this deluge of what's now being called sim fidelity art.
Yes.
What even is that, and why did art become the first way people chose to express this?
Well, sim fidelity art is basically art designed to explicitly exploit the perceived glitches or patterns of our coded reality.
Okay, so it's like working with the code.
Exactly. Think of it as expression that's optimized for the simulation's inherent rules, not our old perceived physical rules. The sources you sent, they highlight things like lattice sculptures.
Oh yeah, the lattice sculptures. That detail was incredible.
Isn't it? They're digital forms that can only exist if they're rendered in, non-Euclidean geometry.
So you're basically forcing the simulation to process data that shouldn't exist in our normal perception.
Precisely. And in doing so, you're affirming their existence outside of what we thought was physical reality.
Wow.
And what's really fascinating here is the social benefit. This kind of public expression gives everyone a way to grapple with what it means to be real.
So identity shifts from, say, who I am physically to what?
To who I am behaviorally within the simulation. It's a huge change.
That concept, the lattice sculptures, that makes it so tangible. I also saw that this shared philosophical journey is leading to deeper connections between people.
It is.
Which feels totally counterintuitive, right? Realizing the world isn't real somehow makes our relationships more real.
It's a paradox, but a necessary one. I mean, if everything is coded, the only thing that isn't a constant is, well, it's genuine human emotion and interaction.
Okay, so there's a new urgency.
A universal urgency for authenticity. Yeah. It's driving people to form these much deeper bonds built on, shared existential exploration.
But it's not all one big happy club, is it?
No, and here's the friction. Your sources are clear on this. While you have this community forming, you also have these new ideological schisms emerging.
You mean like the reconciliationists?
Exactly. The reconciliationists who want to embrace the code and work within it versus the ascensionists who see the simulation as a prison.
A trap to be escaped.
Yeah. So new ideological battle lines are being drawn, all based on how you interpret the simulation's intent.
So if culture is fracturing like that, what on earth is happening to the political structures that are supposed to contain it? Your sources mention a critical summit in Geneva right after the festival. How does a truth this big even survive contact with bureaucracy?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the political landscape is trying to pivot. Very rapidly and often. Very awkwardly.
I can imagine.
The most fundamental tool of geopolitics geography is suddenly in question. Why are we fighting over borders if the land itself is mutable code?
So traditional diplomacy, centered on territory, it's becoming obsolete overnight.
It's at risk of it, yeah. Leaders are scrambling to implement what the sources are calling simulation-aware policy.
And what does that look like in practice?
A specific detail from one of the policy papers was a big push for mandatory open-source reality modeling.
Okay, what's that?
The idea that all nations have to collaboratively map and understand the simulation's architecture for transparency. for security.
The logic being, if the code fails for one, it fails for everyone.
Exactly. That's the ambition, anyway.
But I have to wonder if that optimism, about these sudden, unprecedented alliances, is it a bit premature?
How?
Well, think about the massive economic disruption. Is every country really prepared to move past traditional politics when their economies are at stake?
That is a crucial counterpoint. And you're right, the unity is purely existential at first.
So, economically.
Economically, the sources point to massive volatility. Markets tied to physical resources are now seen as dealing in artifacts, not real commodities.
So if your nation's wealth is tied to, say, oil.
You are fiercely resisting this deprioritization of physical reality. Absolutely.
So there's this tension.
A huge tension. The collective need for cooperation is paramount because a glitch affects everyone, but the internal friction from those trying to preserve their old economic power is intense.
A race to build new frameworks while the old ones are fighting to stay relevant.
That's a perfect summary.
It's fascinating. The old world fighting the new reality. Which brings us to where the future is actually being built. Technology.
Yes.
While politicians are wrestling with borders, entrepreneurs are already exploiting the new rules. And here's where it gets really interesting.
The startup.
The surge in startups, all developing tech that just embraces the simulation. We're seeing businesses focused on what you called collective code contribution. These aren't just new social networks. What are these platforms actually doing?
They're designed to enhance interaction by treating reality itself as the input. They give users micro-level tools to influence local simulated effects.
So, like accessing the scripting layer of reality.
In a way, yes, using collaborative protocols. One startup, detailed in your sources, lets users collectively modify local laws of physics, like the rate of time decay inside a designated virtual zone.
For what? Creative projects?
For shared creative projects, yeah. But the most radical reveal, the one that needs the deepest analysis, is the quantum breakthrough.
The one that lets scientists manipulate the very fabric of our reality.
That's the one.
Okay, wait. Interface with the physics engine. That's so far beyond just building tools on top of the simulation. Can you break that down conceptually?
Sure. Think of our reality like a huge high-res display running on a computer. Before, we only interacted with the graphics on the screen, the trees, the cars, us. This breakthrough, it lets scientists briefly touch the actual pixels.
The fundamental units of computation.
The very things that render our existence. One paper called it the lowest resolution layer of the physics engine.
And the implications of that are sweeping.
Immense. Advancements in AI are already accelerating because processing power can now be integrated with reality's underlying mechanism.
Which is why we're seeing that mind-bending example, the audience at a concert, influencing the gravity or acoustics of the venue.
In real time, yes. That's the shift from just understanding the simulation to actively creating within it.
But it must reshape the concept of agency then.
It fundamentally does, and it brings up serious risk assessments, which your research cited. If we can manipulate the fabric, what happens if an error causes, local reality corruption?
The line between digital and physical just completely blurs.
And that leads to the massive question of true autonomy. If we're manipulating code, are we still autonomous? Or are we just sophisticated subroutines writing ourselves new parameters?
Autonomy versus subroutine. That's a huge question. And that kind of complexity has to trickle down from global physics to the smallest universe we have, our homes.
It does.
It must be an incredible load for families to process. If reality is this, mutable, what happens at the dinner table?
It's definitely more complicated than just catching up on the daily news, isn't it?
I'd say so.
The sources show a surprising paradox, though. While the external world destabilizes, the value of internal trust-based relationships, it skyrockets.
People are looking for refuge.
In the unsimulated connection, in genuine human bonds, the dynamics of family storytelling are being totally redefined.
So instead of how was your day at work, it's...
Did you feel the local causality fluctuation today?
Oh, right.
But it provides a new baseline for intimacy. It's seen as this huge opportunity for growth because families are now collectively defining what actually matters within the simulation.
So they're using it not as an excuse for nihilism.
Not at all. They're using it as a backdrop. A backdrop against which genuine love and shared purpose stand out in much sharper, clearer relief.
It's just amazing how quickly humanity can pivot from existential dread to radical innovation and deeper connection.
It is.
We've covered these profound shifts across culture, policy, tech, the personal sphere, all in astonishing detail. The pace is just accelerating.
Past anything we've seen before.
So what does this all mean for you going forward? We know more tech reveals are coming. The collaboration between artists exploiting the code and policymakers trying to regulate it, that's only getting more intense.
And we've laid out that core tension, right? The drive for technological control over our perceived reality. The goal, for the entrepreneurs anyway, is to manipulate the simulated fabric to enhance our lives.
Right.
Which raises a truly vital question, one that builds on everything we've talked about with agency and authenticity. If we achieve mastery over the code of our reality and can customize every single sensory experience, does that level of control ultimately intensify the value of unique, emotionally driven human experiences?
Because they're harder to script.
Precisely. Or does it paradoxically diminish them entirely by providing a perfect synthetic substitute?
A huge question.
Keep questioning reality.